Good evening, Wizards Nation. So, Bleacher Report just dropped an article basically stating every team's biggest question mark after the preseason that just ended. And I feel like with us, they hit it right on the spot. You know, I feel like this is something that we've all been claiming for this entire offseason. But, yeah, man, I'm going to share you guys the article right now. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. The season's right around the corner. We got a couple days. We're at the corner. You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, I'm excited, but, you know, math streams. Please, let me help you. Math streams. Don't give Ted your money. Well, he's not yet. Apparently, also, I'm a side tangent. Apparently, Ted raised ticket prices this year. I was about to make a video on that. I might make a video on that tomorrow. This two-faced bearded buffoon, I can't. And then he makes his son make a video like, oh, we care about the actual Wizards fandom community, like that. You see, this is what I mean. Words don't mean shit to me. Anyways, man, let me just get to the freaking article, man. I'm gonna get pissed off, dude. Anyways, for the Wizards, the biggest question mark is, when does the prospect pecking order materialize? Let me explain, or let them explain. The Wizards are doing what every rebuilder should do, throwing a bunch of young talent at the wall and seeing what sticks. 9 players were former first-round picks from, I don't know why the hell they worded it like that. The editor needs to be freaking fired. There were 9 first-round picks from the past 3 drafts. Thank you. I should be an editor. Jesus Christ. There's potential just about everywhere you look on this roster. What doesn't really exist, though, is any clear hierarchy among the prospects. Thank you. That's all. All I want is hierarchy this season. I want to see who are the alphas. I feel like we got a lot of complementary young players. I feel like we might have our rotation, but we need the alphas. We need the guys, the go-getters, the face of our team, the all-stars. And I feel like we're going to hit a chance, hopefully next year in the lottery, to get another one. But anyways, let me just continue. Alex Sard, the number 2 overall pick in 2024, and Trey Johnson, this year's number 6 pick, have the most prospect pedigree. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll stick at the top of this food chain. And I completely agree with that statement. While Washington will be juggling a ton of developmental project, and maybe I shouldn't be an editor. I can't even say the Delavadova projects during a development, Jesus Christ, driven season. The hope will at least be that a few of these players start flashing building block abilities. Not all of these players will be long for the Wizards rebuild, but hopefully at least a few can start shaping its direction. Completely agree. See, I've said this before, and I feel like we've all said this. The 2 main goals this year. 1, let's make sure that Trey Johnson's that dude. Let's make sure that Trey Johnson is going to be one of the future faces of this franchise. What I mean by faces, like one of the top 3 dogs on a deep playoff team. Let's make sure Trey is that. And I feel like he's showing us that. Preseason was, it is what it's just preseason. But anyways, and then 2, let's see what we got in these young bucks. See, we're going to be ass this year. We're going to lose a lot of games. We're going to be ass. At least we know we're going to be ass. We're not going to be a team with high hopes like the Commanders, and then they end up being freaking ass-tastic. You know what I mean? And then you get pissed off, like me. But anyways, I keep thinking to myself, like I said, 9 former first-round picks on this roster. It doesn't mean every single one of those dudes are going to be with us for the long haul. It comes a point in time we're going to have to pay them. And if they're producing, we're not going to be able to keep and afford all 9 of them. Obviously a couple of them are just first-round picks that are not going to be with us even next year, looking at Dylan Jones. In a rebuild, you never see a team be able to keep every single player that they want. If every single player that they want, obviously, is producing and it's going to be a high-rate NBA player, things are going to get expensive. There's a salary cap for a reason. So even if, let's say, in a perfect world, all 9 of these former first-round picks produce and end up being good, we're still not going to be able to keep all of them. We got to choose the most important ones for our roster, for our vision, for our team. So, with that in mind, before I'm going to have a couple of, scenarios in my phone. So this is our current, team and roster. Bub, of course, is injured, but it's going to be Bub, CJ, Chris Middleton, Keyshawn George is starting, not Bilal Coulibaly because he's injured, and Alex Sarr. Then you got dudes like Trey Johnson, Kispert, George, DeVooch, Champagnie, AJ Johnson, Malachi, Uncle Gil, Bagley. But I see, this video might piss off some people. You know what I mean? I feel like we shouldn't get attached to any young buck on this roster or overly attached. Besides, in my opinion, Trey, Key, and Sarr. And, I think it's in that order as well. Like Cam Whitmore. I didn't even mention him right here. Cam Whitmore could very well supplant Bilal Coulibaly in the rotation moving forward. Let me repeat that again. Cam Whitmore could very well supplant Bilal Coulibaly in the team's plans moving forward. Bilal Coulibaly was this regime's first round pick, lottery pick. Things can change like this. This is the NBA, and that's one thing that I keep thinking about. Even though I love Bilal Coulibaly, I know he's getting dogged on a lot. I want to see this. I want to see this mofo play. This mofo's always injured. I want to see him play. But anyways, as much as I love him, be cool. I'm trying to be realistic here. If Cam Whitmore explodes and shows that he's that dude at the 3 moving forward, that kind of makes Bilal expandable. You know what I mean? So things are gonna the pecking order, the hierarchy, it changes. So while I commend Will Dawkins for bringing in competition, not just competition for the short term, but competition for the long term as well, which is what he did with the Cam Whitmore move, in my opinion. See, I feel like the object of the game is, replace the young bucks that you have. But now we have 9 former first round picks again. Replace the ones that you aren't that high on. You know what I mean? You're gonna miss. You're gonna miss in the draft. You're gonna miss sometimes. Sometimes you draft a good one first round. And he doesn't look that good. Replace those dudes with other young bucks in the future drafts. That's the object of the game. I don't want to say rinse and recycle. You know what I mean? But like I like AJ Johnson. I like AJ Johnson. I really do. I want him to succeed. Listen, with Bub and his current struggles right now, even though I think Bub's gonna improve and do his thing, I like to see AJ Johnson get some run. But at the end of the day, I also feel like I wouldn't be surprised if AJ Johnson's not on this roster next year. Because things change like this. You never know. What if we get Darren Peterson next year? And we're like, we got Bub, Peterson. Like, it kind of makes AJ Johnson more expandable, right? Things change like this. Or it could be also AJ Johnson's play. We don't know. We don't know, And again, I feel like some people are very overly attached to some people. And again, to each their own. My guy who I feel like I'm very overly attached to is, Cam Whitmore, even though I'm just a big fan of Cam. And I'm also kind of attached to Bilal Coulibaly, I'm not going to lie, even though I kind of wanted to trade him in the NBA draft process. But I really like Bilal Coulibaly, even though I understand all the criticism, though. My last note is, people forget, we got 2 first-round picks next year as well. We got our lottery pick, and then we got a late first-round pick coming in from possibly the Thunder that we got in the trade. We don't want to have, in this 15-man roster, 14 of them be 22 or younger. We need some veterans. You don't want to go super young. So, again, this year we had 3 draft picks, 2 first-round picks, 1 second-round pick. Next year we got 2, first-round picks coming in. We got picks. And, some of these dudes, they're going to become expandable. And that's why I keep on saying, we got to find a hierarchy this year. So while we're going to be irrelevant, this year is a critical year in the rebuilding phase of this team. Will Dawkins is going to have to make tough decisions with dudes who he might be overly attached to himself because he drafted some of these dudes, maybe even Bub. Justin Champagnie. Y'all know I love I'm including Champagnie into this freaking Young Bucks. He's only 24 years old. I love Champagnie. But who's to say I was thinking about this too. Who's to say freaking Will Dawkins sees that Champagnie's not playing because of freaking Corey Kispert's ass, and he attaches Corey Kispert and Champagnie in a trade or something like that. You know what I mean? And I also feel like if we trade Champagnie, it'll be I wouldn't like it because Champagnie could easily turn out to be the next Gary Payton Jr. How he leaves us and becomes a key rotational piece in a deep playoff team. But things change, man. AJ Johnson, Bub Carrington, the Vooch. I haven't even talked about the Vooch yet. But anyways, let me know what y'all think. Two most important things. Let's find out that Trey Johnson is him, and let's find out who are the most important young bucks on this roster. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Till next video. Peace, y'all.